Damien ruins horror movies. Hey, I'm back, and it's finally October. Despite the fact that the last week it's been, I don't know, between 75 and 80, it still looks like fall outside, and it's been very foggy mornings. But I don't know when the fog stops and the smoke begins. It hasn't been too smoky. It was weird last week. And since it's October, we're going to try and knock out as many Halloween movies as possible, starting with the first one, John Carpenter 1978 classic, Halloween. And I've got the Blu-ray box set. If you don't have this, get yourself a copy because it's worth the money. Even though they made it like 2 years before the 2018 sequel came out. So it is missing a movie. But it's got all the original movies in there plus the 2 Rob Zombies. So, the original Halloween starts off in 1963. I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit to the part where Michael is caught. And they take off, his parents come home, they take off his mask. It's him. He's got a butcher knife. There's blood on it. Now we'll rewind to the opening because it's his POV. And if you're watching this for the first time, you're probably wondering who the killer is. But it's him. And his sister's supposed to be babysitting him. This movie is all about terrible babysitters. Michael is 6. His sister's supposed to have an eye on him. We don't know where Michael is. Is he trick-or-treating? But she says Michael's around here somewhere, so I would think that if he's trick-or-treating. Plus, he's wearing a clown suit, and her boyfriend, while they're making out, he takes the mask. So wherever Michael's gone, he does not have the mask with him. He doesn't get the mask until he goes upstairs after the boyfriend's left. And I don't know if they had the quickest sex ever or if they just didn't, but the boyfriend's like, it's late, I gotta go, and he takes off. Michael goes upstairs, his sister's naked, brushing her hair and singing, and he gets very, very close to her before she realizes he's there, and then he stabs her, which is weird because he's 6, and I think, my daughter's 8, and I don't think there's any way in hell she could stab me to death. She might stab me once. If I was sleeping, she might stab me 3 times. She's not killing me, though. That's just not happening. Even if I was a teenage girl. Not going to happen. If you're 6, unless Michael... Then again, maybe Michael's supposed to be freakishly strong for a little 6-year-old. I don't know. But then we fast forward 15 years. And we meet Lori. Lori's on her way to school. Her dad is a realtor who tells her to stop by the Myers place to drop off the key because he's going to be showing it. Now, the Myers house is all fucked up and dilapidated. His family moved out shortly after he killed his sister, and nobody's touched it since. And now her dad, the realtor, is going to go try and sell it. It's kind of weird. It's shouldn't somebody fix it up a little bit, or is it just a little fixer-upper that hasn't been touched since the night that somebody was killed in it? I wonder what the markdown on that was. Then we meet Dr. Loomis, who's driving down the road on a dark, stormy night with a nurse, and they're talking, and they get to the asylum or whatever, and all the inmates are running around, and so Loomis gets out of the car because he's going to try and see what's going on. Somebody jumps on the top of the car. For some reason, the nurse rolls her window down. She's going to, hey, get off the car. The guy on the car grabs her. She freaks out, opens the door, and runs off. Turns out that's Michael. He hops in the car and drives off. Somehow he knows how to drive, which they mention later that it's he can't drive. He's been in here since he was 6. So they do address that. But he drives, and they're Haddonfield's 150 miles away. So this kid who's probably hasn't really been in a vehicle since he was 6, just hops in a car and drives in the dark for 150 miles, and somehow knows how to get home. Strange. That's one of his mutant powers, I guess, his supernatural powers, although he's not quite supernatural yet. We don't know what the hell he is now. We just know he's evil. So, fun fact, Dr. Loomis, Sam Loomis, now Jamie Lee Curtis is Janet Leigh's daughter. Janet Leigh plays Marion Crane in Psycho. Marion Crane is the main character who gets killed in the shower. But before she gets killed in the shower, she works at a bank and she steals a large sum of money from a Texas millionaire, and she's supposed to go deposit it into like a bigger bank somewhere so that it's safer. But instead, she takes off because she is having an affair with a married man, and now this gives her enough money that they can run away and be together. The married man's name is Sam Loomis. See that tie-in? Are these movies somehow related? Is it a coincidence? Is it an homage? Because there's no way Marion Crane could be Laurie's mother in this universe. So Michael gets to town, and for some reason, this is kind of strange. And we'll get more to it when I do part 3. But this movie was supposed to be a one and done. That was Carpenter's idea. It's like, we're going to do this one, and then it's done. So it's really weird because Michael specifically stalks Laurie. It seems like. And then kind of Tommy. Tommy's the boy that Laurie's going to babysit. But Michael is lurking around, going after Laurie, and it's like, why? Like, first time you watch it, you probably won't really think about it. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that the first time you watch it, it's like, oh yeah, uh-oh, killer's after her. But the more you watch it, it's like, why is he after her? And like, he kills other people getting to her, but what is so special about her? Especially when you find out later that there was never supposed to be a sequel to this movie. And she keeps seeing him, or thinking that she's seeing him. And I was thinking it was more ghostly before, like she was imagining that she had seen it, but this time I just watched it again, and it's like, oh yeah, he's clearly out there, because he's got the car. Like, the first time she sees him, he's like, you know, propped on the car staring into her classroom. How he knows what class she's in, and it's funny because he's just lurking around, and granted, he escaped the day before Halloween, and so now it's actually Halloween day, and he's walking around. So I guess it wouldn't be that weird to have a guy in broad daylight looking like him, just kind of walking around. I gotta wonder though. It's like, how that, and I wear glasses, so that's also a hindrance. But it's like, how well can you see when you're wearing a mask? I mean, one, to just attack people and kill them, but to drive a car and just have no peripheral vision, just driving like, completely turning your head every time you want to check your mirrors or look next to you to see, I don't know. So that night, Laurie's babysitting Tommy, and her friend Annie is babysitting Lindsay, and they're all in the same neighborhood, and they're all in the same neighborhood as the Myers house. Now, if Laurie now lived in the Myers house, I could understand Michael being like, I'm going to get the person that lives in something. But there's no reason why he should be targeting Laurie. Laurie and Annie drive down the road. And they're sharing a joint, and then they see that the hardware store. This is kind of weird because Loomis found like the auto truck, and he gets near the body that Michael killed, and that's where Michael got his little jumpsuit. But Loomis doesn't actually see the body; he just sees the truck, and he sees there's a matchbook at the scene, and it's the matchbook that the nurse lit a cigarette with when we first meet Loomis on the way to the asylum. So that's his tip-off. That's like, okay, he was here, because this is the same matchbook. Because it's like a matchbook from a lounge, like a nightclub 150 miles away. So it's got to be. But it's kind of weird because he's been stalking Laurie all day. And then it's not until after school, Laurie and Annie are driving, and there's a hardware store, and the alarm's going off, and the cops are there. The sheriff is Annie's dad. So they're like, what's going on here? And they're like trying to hide the fact that they were just smoking weed in the car, like they threw the joint out the window. And he's like, oh, it's just somebody broke in and stole some masks and knives and shit like that. Which is kind of weird because, like, he's been wearing a mask all day. And if he's stealing weapons from a hardware store, why is he stealing weapons that he could get from anybody's kitchen? And then, why is the alarm going off? It's the middle of the day. The hardware store should be open. Like, unless, I don't know, unless something went down and they saw who was taking the stuff, so they set the alarm so the cops would come. That seems weird for a it's not like it's a bank where they can have a silent alarm. You know, it's a hardware store. So that part was kind of weird. Like, if he was going to rob the hardware store, it would have happened in the middle of the night. Or something. It wouldn't have happened after school. It would have happened before he had the mask. And is it normal for hardware stores to sell masks? Like, Halloween mask. So Michael's stalking around. Loomis is stalking the house because he knows Michael's there, or at least he's positive Michael's there. He runs into the sheriff, tells him what's going on. The sheriff's like, I don't think that's happening, but we'll keep our eyes open. But if it is, fuck you. That's your fault, Loomis. Lori's hanging out with Tommy. Annie's hanging out with Lindsay, the little girl that she's babysitting. And then she gets a call from her boyfriend. I forgot his name. And so she's going to go. She wants to go pick him up, but she's got Lindsay. And Lindsay's just this little TV zombie that doesn't want to go anywhere. So she's like, well, what if I take you over to Tommy Doyle's house? And she's like, okay. So she takes Lindsay over to Tommy's, where Lori is babysitting him. Then she goes back to the house to, I think it's Lindsay's car. Lindsay's parents' car that she's going to borrow because it's parked in the garage. Although it does look like the car, her mom's car that she was driving earlier. I don't know whose car it is. Who cares? Point is, she goes in, Michael Myers in the back seat, and there's no more Annie. So then a little bit later, Linda, the third friend, her second friend, third main girl, Linda shows up with her boyfriend, Bob. They show up in their creeper van because they were planning to come over and have sex in one of the rooms in the house, which makes you wonder, like, how long were Lindsay's parents out for the night? Or are they, like, out of town for a week? It's really unclear. And that's another thing. It fucked the parents in this movie because these poor kids are being babysat while the parents are out having fun. And this is a kid's holiday. This is supposed to be, once you have kids, you don't get to go party anymore. You got to take those kids trick-or-treating and be parents and give them good childhood memories. You don't just, well, we're going to go out for the night and you're going to get babysat. And the babysitter doesn't take them trick-or-treating or anything. These are the babysitter trick-or-treating. That'd be kind of cool. But these kids are stuck inside watching movies. And they're watching, another fun fact, they're watching The Thing from Another World, which is a movie John Carpenter would remake a couple years later. Before Linda and Bob get to Annie's, though, Tommy's looking out the window and he sees Michael Myers carrying Annie's body, like, from the garage into the house. It's like a detached garage. And so he, like, starts freaking out, and then Lindsay scares him, and then he starts screaming, and Laurie's like, what's going on? He's like, it's the boogeyman, the boogeyman's out there. And she's like, there's no such thing as a boogeyman, there's no boogeyman out there. So he's like, all right. He's like, well, nobody believes me. I was like, that is not how you would read. You wouldn't just, okay. Like, if you saw that, you wouldn't just, bummer. And then later on, he's like having fun. So Linda and Bob have really quick sex. And then she wants a beer, so she has Bob go downstairs and get her one. And Michael kills Bob. And then he goes upstairs with a sheet on and glasses like he's a ghost. But then he's like, well, I better put the glasses on or else she's going to wonder who I am. But if I got the glasses on, she's going to know, hey, it's me, Bob. So he goes up there and she's like, haha, very funny. Okay, enough's enough. This isn't funny anymore. And then he kills her. Finally, Michael makes his way over to Tommy's house and tries to kill them. Jamie stashes the kids in her room. She hides in a closet. Michael tries to go in there because she stabs him in the neck first with a crochet needle or whatever. And then she's like, oh, he's dead. She has a knife for a minute and then she's like repulsed by it and throws it down. So then she goes up, wakes the kids up, stashes them. Then she hides in a closet. Then eventually he figures out that she's in the closet. And it's kind of funny because, like, we've watched this guy, like, kill a dog. Like, just pick up a big, like, St. Bernard. Not a St. Bernard, but it was a big dog. And he, like, just picks it up and, like, chokes it and kills it. And then he picks up Bob, like, effortlessly and stabs him hard enough that he's stuck to the door. His feet are like a foot off the ground. But then he gets to this rickety-ass closet and he can't get in. It's not even locked. He's just like fucking with it. It's not even a real closet door. It's like those wooden like curtain things that you can like open and close the closet. I don't know what the point of those are. But it's like I can't break this, but I can do all this other stuff. Eventually, she escapes, and she is I wouldn't say she's the first final girl ever, because I'd say Sally. What's Sally's last name? Sally Hardesty from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. She's kind of our first final girl. And in Black Christmas, I don't know if we could actually go final girl, because Black Christmas, first slasher movie. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, not a slasher movie. You can watch my Texas Chainsaw Massacre review, and I explain all that. You can also watch my Black Christmas review. So she's our final girl, but I don't give her the badass award because she didn't really do much. She did save the kids, but it's not until Loomis gets there. Loomis is the badass. The badass award goes to Loomis because he's got his gun. He gets in there. He shoots Michael like 6 times. Michael stumbles out and falls off the second story, hits the ground. Loomis looks down. Boom. Dead. Gone. End of movie. But then he goes back and he looks over again and Michael's gone. Now, for a one and done, this sure did set up a sequel. Because if you're going to do a one and done, if this was going to be its own thing, then it should have just had Mike. That should have just been the end. There should have been no disappearing Michael. It should have been, oh, he fell off. He's dead. That was evil. Evil's gone. That was the boogeyman. The end. But they didn't end it there. Michael got away. So for not wanting to do more than one movie, you have a funny way of like leaving a lot of loose ends that make it almost necessary to have another movie. So what did we learn? Survival tips. Don't ditch the kid you're babysitting to go pick up your boyfriend. Don't have sex in other people's houses when they're not home. And don't keep ditching the murder weapon every time you wound the murderer. Finish him. All right, trying to keep these short and sweet because it's going to be at least 8 this month. So if you like it, subscribe and stay tuned because part 2 is coming soon. See you next time.